Hi, everybody. It's Nisha. Welcome back to Permission to Leap. Today we have with us Lisa Marie Pepe. Lisa Marie is the confidence coach and online visibility expert for heart-centered women entrepreneurs, a business coach, an inspirational author, and a motivational speaker. As the owner and founder of Positive Transformation Life Coaching, she empowers her clients to fully embrace their gifts and talents by providing them with the skills they need to develop rock-solid confidence, gain vibrant online visibility, and build authoritative credibility in order to generate greater profitability. Hi, Lisa Marie. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
I'm
Thanks for
wonderful.
having me.
Thank you so much for being here. I so appreciate it.
No, it's an honor. It's awesome.
Thanks. So can you tell me a little bit about your story?
Yes, absolutely. So I get asked that question often, like how did I become an online coach and how did I choose to focus in that area?
Right.
And I can start at any point because the last probably almost 6 years have just been, filled with ups and downs. But essentially how I came to be an online coach was the direct result of having to have surgery on my shoulder, which was the result of a car accident that I had had in 2011. But I had to wait for the surgery until 2013. And at that time, I was working in a public school district. I had a nice, comfortable job. I was working like 7:30 to 3:30 every day and working with special needs students. And it was a nice job. But I had to have surgery. And when I woke up from the surgery, my surgeon had explained that because there was so much damage that had been done in the years previous to not having the surgery, that the surgery was a lot more complicated than he had expected, and that the recovery period would be much more intense and much longer than he anticipated. So I had that in January of 2013, and I couldn't even start physical therapy until February, like well after February. It was almost like the first week of March. And the rehabilitation was excruciating, to say the least. And even then, like, I did not regain full range of motion or full upper body strength or anything like that. And I tried to go back to work. It just didn't happen. It was too much on my body. It was too much on my mind. Trying to, rehabilitate myself, mentally, physically, and trying to work 40 hours a week. It just didn't work. And I was scared, because I was leaving behind a, somewhat of a secure position. And I had, health insurance and benefits, sick days, all that great stuff, right?
Exactly.
And my body just wouldn't allow for it. So there came a time, it was the end of March of 2013. And I was actually sitting in my bed, and it was a really, really crappy cold winter here in Connecticut, like really cold. It snowed a lot. And I wasn't feeling well physically, just because everything hurt. And I remember looking up at God and just saying, like, hey, like, I know that you've got a bigger purpose for me.
Right.
Like, I'm not quite sure what that is at this minute, but like, I need to trust that. And I need to know that if I need to move on in order to take care of my body and in order to heal, I have to trust that you're going to show me that path or wherever it is you want me to go. And it was probably like a week later, maybe, that I had started to get these vibes, and, people would say things like, you'd be great at coaching, or, you've always been so optimistic and positive and helping people. And it just came to me one day, and I said, you know what? I'm going to do coaching, and I'm going to do online coaching. And I just dove head in, and it was scary. I had to resign from my job officially. So I left behind that security of, health insurance, like I said, benefits, a secure paycheck every week. But, for me, it was the right thing to do. And that was, we're almost going into 2017. So it's about 3 years ago, almost, not even quite 3 years, but I started my business and just learned as much as I could, and now here I am.
That's awesome. So it sounds like you have given yourself a lot of permission. What is your definition of permission?
Yeah. Permission for me, it's funny, like, I remember always being like the person who always wanted permission, right? Like permission from parents, teachers, coaches, just permission
Right.
to be accepted, permission to be okay, permission to speak, permission to, and I guess for me now, at this stage of the game, the way I look at it is allowing myself the freedom to express who I am without fear of judgment or without fear of criticism. And then also knowing that whatever I'm doing is in full alignment with my higher power. And so at the end of the day, if I can lay my head down at night and know that I've done the best that I can with the gifts that I've been given,
Right.
I feel like I don't need anybody else's permission. I only need, it's like it's between me and God, right? Like that's how I feel. Yeah. So as long as I've got his permission, like I am good to go.
I love that. So from how do you give yourself the confidence that you need to trust yourself and to allow yourself to do what it is that you want to do?
Yeah. So great question, right? This is where I help a lot of my clients, especially in the confidence department.
Right.
And truthfully, for me, I know what it feels like because I've been on that other side where I have been down and depressed and, low self-esteem, low confidence, at one point in my life, just completely loathed myself. I mean, literally,
Right.
And that was a really awful, dark period, right? Like nobody wants to feel like that. It's an awful feeling. And I remember as I started to come through that and started to break through sort of those personal barriers, those mental, barriers or whatever I was kind of holding in from years past and stuff. And as I became more confident, I began to put myself out there more. And I mean, out there online, and started, offering services and things like that. But what I found was, even though I'm confident now, and I do feel self-assured and I feel like I'm doing what I need to do,
Right.
there's even times now where I'll still go, ooh, I don't know, maybe that's a good idea, but the difference is I have a lot of coping mechanisms now that I didn't always have. And so doing mindset work every single day is super, super important to me. And mindset work, and I know we hear that as a buzzword these days,
Right.
but for me, what that means is having time to pray every day, having time to meditate, and having time to, just celebrate the fact that like I'm alive, I'm healthy, I mean, yes, I still have to work on my shoulder because that's another whole issue, but I wake up every day, I've got 2 feet on the ground, like I'm doing better than most people, so it's definitely that combination of, like I said, it's prayer, it's trust, it's faith, but then it's also action, right?
Right.
So, it could be journaling, one day if I feel like doing that, but for the most part, I'd say it's prayer, and it's definitely, I have like a certain set of affirmations that I have written for myself, and you're going to laugh when I say this, but I tell everybody to do it. I put them on Post-it notes, and I just plaster them like all over. And so they're not in this room because this is actually not my room. I'm borrowing this room right now, but in the other room, like they're like all over the place. They just say like, I am happy, I am healthy, I am confident, I am strong. And it's the silliest thing, because if someone were to come in, they'd probably think I was a total nut job. Like, why do you have Post-its like all over your freaking house? And I'm like, it's my personal like Post-it improvement project, right? Like and I tell people to do that, and I've had some women say to me, oh my God, like that's a genius idea. And I'm like, I know, but it's not anything that's so like outrageous that you can't do it. Like you go to the dollar store, you don't have to buy the Post-it brand, just go to the Dollar Tree, right? And just pick up like little pack of dollar ones and just write really positive things on them about yourself, put it in the present tense and stick them everywhere. I mean, like in your car, in your bathroom, like wherever you're going to go multiple times a day.
Mm-hmm.
If you work outside of your home and it's in an office, stick them on, the front of your computer screen. Or, I mean, there's so many ways to incorporate positive and self-affirming beliefs and thoughts into our lives every day that we sometimes overlook it. And for me, it's pretty simple. post it up and you're going to see it. And sooner or later, you keep saying it to yourself, there's no room for negativity. There's no room for fear. There's no room for the little, monsters in your head that tell you, you're not good enough, or because you were surrounded by a wall of positivity,
Right. I love that. So what was the pivoting point, that moment that you knew that you had to really go after what you wanted or just give up?
Whew. Well, it's funny, I've been through multiple pivoting points in my life and my business. I've never felt like giving up on my business. That's the funny part. I've gotten down and I've gotten discouraged, but quitting has never, ever even been an option, because for me, it's like, I really can't go back into the regular workforce. I tried to do that and it's just too much on my body. So for me right now, doing online coaching, I have to make this work, and I will do whatever I have to do to make it work. It doesn't mean I don't get down. Doesn't mean I don't have days where I'm discouraged. We all do, right? We're human.
Exactly.
But there was a pivotal moment in my life before I became a coach, and that occurred in the beginning of the summer of 2012. As I had said earlier, I had a car accident in 2011. That was in March in 2011, and I was a massage therapist at that time. Yeah, so I've had a lot of careers. The massage therapy was suddenly just taken away from me because of the car accident and the injuries and all that. So what followed after that was this really dark stage of just feeling lost, feeling out of place, feeling out of sync, not knowing where I was going, not knowing what I was supposed to be doing with my life. And I'm well educated. I have 2 master's degrees.
Wow.
None of it mattered, right? Because I'd say that it was probably the August, September of 2011. I was in a full-blown depression and just could not get myself out of it. It was something. I felt so lost. I felt so hopeless. And I bounced around just trying to find meaning for my life. And what I realized was that because I didn't feel good about myself, and I was thinking about a lot of blame and shame, and I was almost blaming myself, how can I not be stronger to go back to massage therapy when I was truly injured and had to have surgery eventually. I took really, 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 really crappy jobs. And I mean,
certainly understand that one.
Yeah. And I share this story a lot because I feel like women need to hear this. Well, men too, but I do serve women mostly. But, I want people to understand that it was only, it's 2016. So 3.5 years ago, I was cleaning the bathroom at a gym I was working at. Okay. And, people think, oh, you're working at a gym. How great, how glorious. And it's no, not really. Right. I would swipe people in with their little card, give them a little, whatever free thing that they got from they signed up. And then I had to do normal, ordinary housekeeping tasks. I had to clean the bathrooms at the end of the night. I had to empty trash bins. I had to sweep the floor. I had to do those things. And I'll never forget the pivotal moment where that was finally it was a make or break it moment. And it came in the early part of the summer of 2012. I was cleaning up the bathroom. Literally I was in the stall, reaching in, pulling out, trash and papers and all that. And this woman who was a patron in the gym, she and I had become really good friends. And she was a social worker, so we would talk a lot. And she knew I had a degree in psychology, and I told her how I had worked in the field, with before going into massage therapy and such. And she said to me one day, and my God, it was it was just a divine intervention. She said to me, can I ask you a question? And I was like, sure, what's up? And she's like, what are you doing? And I looked up at her. I'm cleaning the bathroom. What do you mean? What am I doing? I just sort of took it surface.
Right. Like, isn't it obvious?
Yeah, like, hello, like, do you want to help? Like, here's some gloves. You want to pitch in? Right?
Exactly.
I think I actually said that to her because I was being kind of like facetious, because she asked me again. She was like, no, like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm picking up the trash in the bathroom. Like, I think I did say something like, do you want to help? You know, like, just being funny. And so the third time when she looked at me and she said, no, I mean, what are you doing with your life? Right. And it was like, whoa, right. Yeah. And I was just like, oh. And I literally had that look. I was just like deer in the headlights, like, oh my God, this woman just called me out on my own bullshit. Like,
Yeah.
for like almost 2 years following the accident, I lived in a state of not only physical discomfort, because that's another whole issue, right?
Right.
Attention from the medical community, but I just was trapped in these really pathetic positions that I was not utilizing the gifts that I have. It's not that, hey, listen, I am all for hard work. There's nothing wrong with going to work and using your hands and doing what you got to do to
Right.
to pay your bills, put food on the table, whatever. I value that. But I knew that deep down there was something greater inside of me, right? Like, I wanted to really be helping people. I wanted to be inspiring people. But because I felt so freaking bad about myself, I wouldn't allow myself to do that. And so I took jobs like working at the desk of the gym just so I could make, minimum wage and have to work every night, every weekend.
Yeah.
Prior to that, I was a telemarketer. Like, holy shit, right? Like, telemarketing. Like, they hire like 16-year-olds to do telemarketing that are like, don't even have a high school degree, right?
Right.
And here I was at like 35, I think I was 34, 35. And I took a job as a telemarketer, right? And it's like, if you talk about feeling bad about yourself, right? Like, so my bosses treated me like crap. My coworkers didn't care at all about me. And then I got yelled at every single night on the phone, right? So it's like, I just look back on that now and I realize that my outer reality was really matching my inner reality, which was, I think I deserved better, right? Like, I think that I deserved to make good money. I didn't think I deserved to be in a good position. I didn't think I deserved to be in even good relationships. At the time, I was in a really pathetic long-term relationship with someone that I'm no longer with, and which is fine for me, right? Now, truthfully, really, it is.
I get it.
Yeah, and really, when she said that to me, so going back to that pivotal moment, I could not ignore that. I mean, I guess I could have if I wasn't ready, but I was just ready. And she was just the catalyst that happened to be there that day. And she's like, you need, and that's what she said to me. She said, you're wasting your life. And I was like, oh my God, like, into my head. I was like, go away, But that was the make it or break it moment. And that is exactly when I decided I was not going to live a mediocre life. I was not going to settle. I was not going to wake up and exist anymore. I wanted to live. I wanted to thrive. I wanted to help people, work with people. And I literally did a 180, I'd say, in about maybe like a 30 to 45 day span. I mean, literally, like,
that's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, she said it to me and I was like, you know what? Right. I went and hired like a professional resume writer because I had such gaps in my, like, here I was like highly educated and then like, here's my work history, like, like telemarketer, what? Like, what? So I hired someone. Yeah, I hired someone to help me with that. And I just changed my life. I got rid of excess baggage, including the old boyfriend who really was excess baggage and not treating me the way I should have been treated. So once I kicked that to the curb and moved forward, it was just like all these doors opened up. Yeah, I mean, it was crazy. I was like a night owl. I had no schedule. I'd go to bed at like 2:00 in the morning, wake up at 10. Seriously. And
yeah, I get it.
When I found out that, like, oh, I have to adult now, right? Like, I have to be an adult. I have to be like get my shit together. And I trained myself. I trained myself to get up at 7 a.m., to go to bed by 10 p.m. It was like night and day, and it was scary as hell. But you know what? With each step and every time I got closer, and every time I had an interview in a professional way, you know, and every time I got offered a job or that I knew I would be serving others, it got easier and easier and easier.
So what was the first step that you took once you made that decision that you were changing it all around? What was the first step for you?
The first step was to get really honest with myself and admit to myself that I hadn't been showing up the way that God intended me to.
Wow.
And so it had to begin with acknowledging that and then forgiving it, right? So I had to forgive myself for blaming myself for not being able to go back to massage therapy. I had to forgive myself for keeping myself stuck in a state of like stagnation and, you know, just, I mean, why did I stay in a relationship with someone who was unfaithful to me, right? Like I had to not only forgive the people who I allowed to hurt me, but I had to forgive myself too, because I did play a role in that, right? And once that work started to happen, like once I was able to forgive and I was able to forgive myself as well, that's when every step started to just as like a domino effect fall right into place. Again, it wasn't easy, and change is never easy, but it's worth it. And that's what I tell people all the time. If you want to get from A to B, you have to move, you have to change. And for me, it has to change here, then it changes here, and then it changes here, like with the actual actions of doing things. So that's where I started. I started with forgiveness.
I like that you said going beyond just forgiving the other person, because I think sometimes we get so wrapped up in who did what to me and how they offended me, how they hurt me. And it's like you said, I played a part in that. So I have to forgive myself, because when you don't forgive yourself, that's extra guilt and shame and all of that you're holding on to.
Absolutely. And that will zap your energy. That'll zap your life force. It'll zap your passion. And sometimes people aren't even aware of it.
Right.
And sometimes it is as simple as forgiving yourself and not worrying about whatever's happened in the past, but just acknowledging it and just owning it, but like having no attachment to it, right? It's just like letting it go. And again, not easy. I mean, it's a process to work through all that. It's like I woke up and I was like, I forgive myself. I'm great. You know, like, but day by day, you start to do things that are more aligned with like self-care. You do things that are more loving for yourself. You do things that bring you more joy, bring you more happiness. And that's, again, has that ripple effect. And you eventually will get to that stage in life where you want to be.
Exactly. I love it. Absolutely love it. So what is one step that someone can take right now so I know you said start with forgiveness. What is something that they can do right now to get moving on this path?
Okay. So aside from going out and buying Post-it notes and putting positive affirmations on them and putting them all over your house and car and wherever else you go. But I do recommend that highly. I would say that you need to evaluate first, like where you are, right? So if you're happy where you are, truthfully, like it doesn't matter if you're an entrepreneur, it doesn't matter if you have a day job, it doesn't matter. You know, if you're a mom, not a mom, whatever. If you're happy, you feel fulfilled, then that's cool. Do it. Like do that, right? Like that's what you need to do. If, however, you do feel like you're struggling, you feel like you can't kind of see the, you know, trees through the forest, or everything seems bleak and dark and all that, you know, call it out for what it is. Acknowledge your fears. You know, what are they? Are they failures of success? You know, failures, you know, fear of, what I meant to say was like fear of failure, fear of success, fear of not being good enough, fear of being too good and being, you know, whatever. I mean, we carry around so much crap because we come out of the womb and then we're bombarded with all these messages, like everywhere, just like not just our families and stuff, but everywhere, school and whatever, whatever clubs we're in and stuff, or group of people who we go with, TV, media, all that. And they're telling us what we are and who we are and how to be. And there has to come a time where you just self-evaluate and you say, okay, that works for me and that doesn't. And so if there are fears that are holding you back, acknowledge them. You have to acknowledge it, because if you stuff it down or you pretend they're not there, they will rear their ugly head some way, one way or another. So I would say just get honest. And then I would say, be willing to do the work, whatever that is. If it's forgiveness, you need to start there. If it's, you're beyond that stage, but now you need to implement some action because you've got great ideas and you want to take a goal or take some kind of, whatever it is you aspire to be or do, then you need to start really working on that and working on that like it is your job, right?
Yeah.
And, especially for entrepreneurs, it is difficult in the beginning. Nobody's paying you to sit home and create your own content and create your own business and create your own systems. Nobody's paying you for that right away.
Right.
But again, if you're passionate about it and you're willing to do it, it will pay off.
That's so true. So how does your spiritual practice affect your business and your life?
For me, there is no separation of those two things. I infuse everything I do with the sense that I know I've been given a divine mission, and that mission is to empower other women worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, I say that every day. It's one of my mantras is, I am impacting millions of women worldwide with a message of faith, hope, love, and empowerment. And
Love that.
those words are not my words. Those words were like divine inspiration coming down and just me saying it, and I feel that way. So every decision I make in my business, and this goes even when I'm like writing content or I'm creating social media posts or the way I engage with my clients, everything is very heart-centered and everything is very, it's value-based, right? Like it doesn't matter to me at the end of the day how much money and how many, luxurious vacations I can go on and all that. I mean, those things are nice. And yes, of course you need money to pay bills and all that. And I'm not different than anybody else. But for me, it really is about empowering other people to step fully into their highest potential and become the person that God has intended for them to be. And that brings me so much pleasure and joy and so much, it like lights my soul up, like lights my soul on fire. And is why I keep doing it, right? I didn't make $50,000 first year in coaching. I didn't, it's like I did it because I loved it. And I knew that my passion would far outweigh any other negative crap that could get in the way of me being successful.
I like that. So going back to the beginning, what do you think it was that was holding you back from living in your dream state?
Me.
I love that answer.
Yeah.
You standing in your own way.
Yep. Me, myself, and I. And, it's so funny. I know that for a lot of us, there are actual events or people in our lives who really are not supportive, or whatever has happened due to this circumstance or event, those things do bring us down. I'm not pretending like those things cannot negatively affect us. They can. We're human, as much as we'd like to say, oh, I don't care what anybody thinks about me, or, I mean, we do, if we love somebody and get into an argument and they say something hurtful, we feel bad. But what I really discovered, what I've discovered, at least for myself, in all the ups and downs I've gone through, is that every time I've been sort of in that valley, it's because of myself. It's because I've set expectations too high. It's because I'm trying to be a people pleaser. It's because I'm trying to be a perfectionist again. It's me failing my own absurd standards, of what I'm supposed to do or be. And so, yeah, it's me. It was me. Always has been. But at least I know that now.
Right. Okay, so what was the best piece of advice that you have ever received?
Wow. I've gotten a lot of good advice over the years. I've been blessed. I have, supportive parents, supportive family, good friends. So I've had a lot of support. But I think one of the things that always stuck with me was, I remember when I was when I was back in college, I was going through a bit of a rough time. And again, it was me getting in my own way, right? Like thinking I had to get all A's, thinking I had to and, just that pressure just built up, and I was really stressed out and all, and I broke down and started crying in one of my professor's offices. And she wrote on a little piece of paper, and she just wrote like, it was something really simple, like, I I am a beautiful, strong, competent, capable woman, and she wrote it down on a little piece of paper, and she said to me, take this and put it in your wallet. She said, and don't lose it. Right. And now I'm 37. So that was 16 years ago. Yeah, I was 21 when I graduated college, and that was my senior year. So that was 16 years ago. And I'd like to say that she kind of planted the seed for that, because that's sort of what my mantras and stuff are all kind of based off of. I haven't really thought about it, but now that you asked, I mean, that was some pretty good advice, And
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting that she wrote it down on a little slip of paper, and now all these years later, you have them all over your house.
I know, and I never really thought about it until just now. But hey,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Okay, so I know you go through your prayer and meditation. Is there one other personal habit that you have that you feel contributes to your success?
Yes. I make sure that even though I work from home, I make sure that I exercise every single day, whatever, in whatever capacity I can. So I do my elliptical rider every morning. I can't use the arm motions yet. Like, I'm trying to get strong enough to use this left arm back and forth.
Right.
But we're working it, we're trying to get there. But right now I just use sort of the lower portion of that. But yeah, I exercise every single day. I eat well. I eat frequently, small meals, but frequently. And I don't compromise on those things. So by that, I mean, like, my calendar is blocked off for self-care. It's blocked off for exercise time. It's blocked off for lunch time. It's blocked off for dinner time. Because what I learned very early on in this online entrepreneurial world was that if I didn't take control of my calendar, it would control me.
Right.
And it's just as important when you work for yourself to set very firm boundaries. Because you can become a slave to your business and still not even be making money, right? So it's like, you might as well go back into a regular workforce and at least make some money and
exactly
at least get a, paycheck for it. But yeah, no, I don't compromise on those things. And I don't feel badly about that either. If someone says to me, oh, well, can you do this at this time? And I'm like, sorry, I could do it a half hour later, but I can't. Unless it's like a life or death situation with a family member, I don't budge on those things. And
I love that.
Yeah, and I have a certain bedtime, I have a certain wake up time. So now I'm like the exact opposite of where I was
right.
a few years ago, right? Where I was just like, la, 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 whatever. I'll eat at like 2:00 in the morning if I'm hungry. It's like, no, I don't do that anymore. So yeah, I am really disciplined about self-care. Not to say I don't get overwhelmed and I sometimes don't acknowledge my own boundaries, but for the most part, those things, like I said, eating well, taking, the breaks that I need, exercising, praying, those things are just non-negotiables.
Right. I find that interesting because that is the one thing, like, I set my boundaries, but I've had kind of loose boundaries when it comes to my business. And I find that self-care is always the first thing to go. So it's like some days I can be so into my work that it'll be 8:00 at night and it's like, oh, you haven't eaten all day. So I love that you're like very firm on those things.
Yeah, it's so funny, because I have it on my calendar, on my phone, and on my computer. I get little pop-ups, and it'll be like lunchtime, and it blinks, or the buzzer goes off on the phone, and I think I just set it for every day, all day, for infinite whatever,
Right.
eternity. And so it'll be a Sunday, and I'll be with my boyfriend in the car or whatever, and it'll beep, and it'll be lunchtime, and I'm like, oh, gotta eat now, and he's like, are you serious? Turns on the weekend. I'm like, yeah, I'm disciplined. I mean, it's just, for me, it is about habits. And
right.
So yeah, even on the weekends, I go to bed usually at the same time. I wake up at the same time. I'm still up at 6:25 a.m. every day.
Wow. So you've gone from 7 all the way back to 6:25.
Yeah. 6:25 a.m. every day. So.
Wow, I love that.
Yeah, it works for me. Some people, some people are really cool with just kind of going with the flow and whatever, wake up and go to bed when they want, eat when they want. Cool. If that works, do it. For me, it doesn't work.
Gotcha. Yeah, I fully understand that. So what is one piece of parting advice that you can give to everybody that's listening or watching?
Do not give up on yourself, your dreams, your hopes. No matter what's going on in your life, you are not what your past says you are.
Wow.
And any moment you can make a decision to change. And I know that it can be difficult. I know that it doesn't happen overnight, but at least making that decision and taking one very small action step to get you a little bit closer to where you want to be.
Right.
It's all it takes. It really is one single step at a time. And do not let the past events, whatever you've gone through or been through, do not let that define who you are today or where you're going tomorrow.
Wow, thank you for that. That was awesome. So where can everybody get in touch with you?
Yeah, so the best way to get in touch with me would actually be either to email me, which would be lisa@positivetransformation.net, or to find me on Facebook, which is where I do a lot of social media posting. I have a group on there, I have a page on there. I do a lot of Facebook live streaming, so you can find me on there as well.
Okay, so there will be links to all of that information under the video. And thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate you, and I look forward to connecting with you again soon.
Okay, thank you so much.